Well, the title of the book is Early Judaism, A Comprehensive Overview, and it was edited or co-edited by myself and John J. Collins at Yale Divinity School.
Well, the essays actually constitute a fairly comprehensive overview of Judaism of the period.
Our volume is focused a little more narrowly on the Hellenistic and early Roman periods.
This is Judaism between the Bible and the rabbinic corpus. Roughly speaking, people have had different names for it. At one time it would have been called intertestamental Judaism, which wasn't so satisfactory. It overlaps with Second Temple Judaism.
We conveniently identify two main historical figures as our sort of bookends. We have Alexander the Great and his conquest of the Near East in the 4th century BC, through the Second Jewish Revolt, the so-called Bar Kokhba Revolt in the land of Israel in 132 to 135 AD. So that's that's about a 450-year period of Jewish history. And it's called early to distinguish it from later rabbinic Judaism and from medieval and modern Judaism.
But it's this body of material that is dealing mainly with non-canonical material, but that comes right around the period when the Old Testament was being formed and when the New Testament was coming into being. So it's rather vital material for the context of the Bible, the context of early Christianity, and of course a transitional period in ancient Judaism.
Well, this volume offers a comprehensive overview of Judaism in the respect that there really is no aspect of Judaism that it doesn't examine.
There may have been topics that slipped our attention, but I am not going to tell you what those might have been. People can discover those for themselves. But we deal with such matters as apocalypticism, the Dead Sea Scrolls, Jewish wisdom, the beginnings of Jewish law, early Midrash, the Temple, major Jewish authors like Philo and Josephus, the influence of Hellenism on Judaism, the early history of the synagogue, of Galilee, you name it.
First of all, there's a lengthy essay by John Collins on the study of Judaism in modern scholarship, and that in itself makes for fascinating reading. Then there are essays on Jewish history in the period from Alexander the Great until the end of the Bar Kokhba Revolt. And then Judaism, as it came to expression in both the land of Israel and in the diaspora, receives attention. And then there are all these major bodies of literature: Apocrypha, Pseudepigrapha, Dead Sea Scrolls, Hellenistic or Jewish literature written in Greek, and then the works of Josephus and Philo. To that we've also added a major essay by Jürgen Zangenberg on archaeology, papyri, and inscriptions to look at the non-literary evidence for Jews and Judaism in our period. And then we round out the collection with two essays, one by me on how early Christianity began within Judaism, and yet gradually, as it became a movement comprised more and more of non-Jews, how it began to be in tension with its Jewish origins. The final essay in the collection by Larry Schiffman is looking at the continuities and discontinuities between early Judaism and rabbinic Judaism. So we've got history, literature, religion, theology, archaeology. We cover everything, and that's why we call it comprehensive, because as far as we can tell, there is no other volume that does what this one book does. Well, I conceived the idea very early on that the dictionary should be a combination textbook and reference work. So I thought it would be good to have alphabetical entries, A through Z entries, that range in length from, say, 1,000 words up to maybe 8,000 words. And we have more than 500 of those entries. Then I thought it would be good to have a handful, maybe a dozen surveys or comprehensive essays at the beginning of the volume. I also thought that it would be good if Eerdmans would agree, after the dictionary had been in print for a year or two, to pull the essays from the front of the volume and rework some of them and expand them with other essays to make a more affordable and more accessible book that could serve, for instance, as a textbook.
The small book basically consists of the introductory essays to the large book, plus a few longer contributions from the dictionary itself. So the long essays were meant to give synthetic treatments that would pull together the many topics of the dictionary. I wrote an introduction on the study of Judaism in the last 100 years or so. There are contributions on Hellenistic Judaism by Eric Gruen, on archaeology by Jürgen Zangenberg. Archaeology has been a very fertile subject. It is indeed a subject on which it is impossible to be up to date, but this is, I think, more up to date than any other synthesis on this material. There are articles on the Apocrypha and the Pseudepigrapha, on Judaism in the diaspora. There are long essays on the history of Judea in that period and also the history of the diaspora. And then on the connections between the Judaism of this period and early Christianity on the one hand and early Judaism on the other. And many of these articles, most of these articles, are written by very senior, well-established scholars. Eric Gruen is one very distinguished one. Larry Schiffman wrote one on the relation with early Judaism. Lawrence Stuckenbrook wrote one on the Pseudepigrapha. And then there are some younger scholars as well.
Well, you know, if you look at introductions to early Judaism, there are several very technical ones that are multi-volume works, years in the making. And then there are very short, popular ones aimed at lay readers or general readers.
Now, there have been overviews of Judaism of the period. One thinks there's a classic one by Emil Schurer that was reworked in English in the 1970s. But that's 3 big volumes. And even at that, it doesn't actually deal with everything that we deal with. But if you wanted to teach a course on Second Temple Judaism, there did not exist a good usable textbook. There is a good short textbook by Jim Vanderkam, who is also a contributor to this. But if you wanted to get into things in more depth, such a textbook did not exist.
I think this book will appeal mostly to students, especially upper-level undergraduate students and also seminary graduate students and scholars as well, because it is the book offers a kind of state-of-the-art look at early Judaism. Here at Calvin College, I teach a course called Intertestamental Judaism, and I have every intention of requiring this text of my students because I have generally junior and seniors, many of them religion majors, who take this course. And this book is written at a level that is accessible for students. But I can imagine in graduate schools and seminaries a book like this becoming required reading. And biblical scholars and even specialists in the field of early Judaism would probably want to have this book on their shelf because it is a very up-to-date and, again, very comprehensive.